Let's give people awards.
I want to give away stuff.
Yeah, but not actual stuff.
But not actual stuff.
Yeah.
No, we don't actually have
stuff.
anything to give away.
No,
it's
no.
Just
kind of pointless, actually. But
good good thoughts.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
We're giving
good
out good
vibes.
vibes. Yeah.
For free.
Well,
I mean, it costs our time, even if it's
I
not
know it
free.
does.
It's
but
like,
but that's why we're doing it, though.
yeah,
It does cost our
we're
time.
choosing to spend our time this way.
Exactly.
Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown, the unofficial sumo podcast for official sumo fans. This is Ryan.
This is Fleric.
This is Jake.
And this is Mac.
And this is the 2024 Grand Sumo Breakdown Award Show. Believe this is our 8th year that we are handing out these illustrious awards. The Rikishi have been clamoring to earn these all year. To be nominated is such an honor. To be on this list for anybody that we mentioned here today, they've done something truly special or horrible.
Or
in the
horrible,
year of
yes.
2024. There's a couple categories where if you're on there, shame on you.
This bad.
Real quick, the way that you phrased that, we've been doing this for about 7.5 years, which means we have a combined 30 years of sumo podcasting experience.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. We got the most sumo podcasting experience in the industry.
Yep.
Does that mean we have to retire soon? Is that how?
Oh God, no.
I think
not.
it means, well, if we add more people, that number goes up faster. So I think by the end, we should have like a 10-person podcast that acquires 10 years of sumo experience every year.
Well,
That's the best way.
Because this is so illustrious and fantastic, Jake, I noticed. What are you wearing today?
Oh, well, I'm not wearing a custom-made shirt that Carolyn made for us, unlike half
That's
of the
not why I
podcast.
asked. Because
I know,
what
but I'm
wearing-
still a tiny bit bitter. I want one of those shirts eventually. No, I am wearing our GSB Hoppy from Kong Sumo. So
Oh, very fashionable.
it was when I saw you two pop on with your nice sumo shirts. I'm like, crap! What is
It's
in this
the
room
event
that I
of
can
the
wear?
year. You
It's
have
the
to
event
dress
of the.
up.
We must.
I woke
dress.
up. I'm still kind of sick. I got out of bed for this. That's enough.
We have to dress up, right, Fleric?
Fleric also is looking around for what is in the room that he can put on.
BRB.
All right. Fleric, while Fleric is gone, I will explain what we're going to do today and a couple of rules that we have to instigate because I love rules. So today we're going to be
you
going
don't
through
say.
a dozen categories to help us recap the year of sumo in 2024. Remind us what happened all the way back in January, all the fun events that happened throughout the year. So each of us have voted for each of these 12 categories, and there's going to be a case. There's an even number of people. There's probably going to be a tie or two in there. So the four of us each get one veto for the entire episode. Once you use your veto, it is gone, and that veto is used to discount somebody's vote for a category. And also to avoid pettiness, once a veto has been used in one category, no other vetoes can be used in that category.
Nice.
So no
hoppy,
vetoing a
Fleric.
veto.
Fleric's
There you
back
go.
with the GSB Hoppy.
Perfect.
I am
Beautiful.
dressed up. Let's go. Let's talk some sumo.
Is there any way I can use my veto to make Takayasu Wrestler of the Year despite no U shows again?
And not being nominated.
And not being nominated.
Oh, that is going to hurt my case here. I'm gonna review
You've
the
got
bylaws.
all episode to work on it. It's the last
Yeah.
award. You've got a
I'm going to
couple
review
hours.
the bylaws, see if there's a way that I can get this handled.
So while Jake goes into that, let's get to what is probably the easiest category of the year. It is our newcomer of the year, the Golden Binky. And our nominees, there's just two of them. There were 9 or 2. There's like 8 or 9 Rikishi that debuted this year. You've got the likes of Shimazu Umi, Oshoma, Toki Hayate, Onokatsu, Shirokuma, Shishi, Asakoryu.
And
They
those
all-
are our nominees.
and the nominees.
They all made their debut this year, but it would feel like a disservice to our 2 nominees of Ono Sato and Takeru Fuji to include them in the conversation. It wouldn't be genuine on our part. It would just be to fill out the rest of the nominees. So there's no reason. Our
Yeah,
2
the
nominees.
news does not cover how the Green Party is doing on presidential election night. You know,
That's right.
that's kind of the situation we're in here.
So Our nominees are
Rip Shishi.
Yep.
I still love this man.
we've got Takeru Fuji, who competed in 3 Bashos this year, and he won a Yusho, that historic Yusho in his top division debut in just his 10th Basho of his career, winning all 3 special prizes. And his competition for Newcomer of the Year, Ono Sato, who also broke Takeru Fuji's record for the quickest Yusho from the beginning of a pro sumo career in 7 Basho. He won 2 Yusho this year, 1 June Yusho, and 8 special prizes, as well as being promoted to Ozeki faster than any other Rikishi in history. I don't think we need a drum roll. Your Newcomer of the Year is Ono Sato.
Yeah.
Was it unanimous?
Literally any other year in sumo history, Takeru Fuji would probably have run away with this one.
Yeah.
True.
So weird and simultaneously cool and frustrating that these two guys debuted in the same year.
Yeah. And now both of them are in the top division at the same time, and so hopefully we can we did get to see them match up this past Basho, and hopefully we'll get to see a lot more Sanyaku matches between the two of them. I do have high hopes for Takeru Fuji. But yeah, probably the easiest category we're going to have all day.
There's a couple other gimmies, I think.
Probably, but this was a 4-0 sweep.
And it's definitely not the last time that Takeru Fuji's Yusho is going to come up today. That's for sure.
Nope, not at all.
Next up, are we doing the silly titles?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. So the disappointment of the year, aka the Golden Season 3 of the Bear Award.
Ooh.
I have not watched that show, but
It is?
I've seen the first 2 seasons, and literally everything that I've heard about the 3rd season is like, oh man, this is just.
Oh, it is on my watch list.
So we're all going based on reputation here.
Fantastic.
All right, sounds good.
I'm sure it's still fine, but I don't think it raises up to the levels of the first 2 seasons.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, our nominees for disappointment of the year, we have Teruno Fuji, our sole Yokozuna for the entire year, no showing 4 of the 6 Basho. Or I think one of them he showed up for a minute.
Yeah.
Kirishima for blowing the Yokozuna run at the beginning of the year and getting demoted from Ozeki. And other than brief moments, not really being all that big of a deal. Not really in the Yusho race or anything very often.
Our defending Rikishi of the year, Kirishima.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So those expectations definitely factor. Without that context, he had a fine year. He was okay. He stayed in the Sanyaku for most of the time, right? But yeah, exactly. Disappointment. Takeru Fuji is a nominee for disappointment of the year because after that spectacular debut, just gone.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until November here that we finally got another taste of him. And there's a lot that could have been that is a bummer that we missed out on.
Yeah.
Haku Oho, not even being in the top division all year, despite all of the hype from last year.
Yeah.
Also supremely disappointing. And then we also have Atami Fuji, who was unable to make it into the Sanyaku ranks despite being Maegashira 3 or higher all year. One of the other guys of this current generation of top prospects that has gotten the least hype, I think. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's disappointing that he hasn't been able to break through that ceiling yet.
Yeah. Coming off of the end of 2023, where he had those back-to-back 11-win Bashos, he was in that Yusho playoff with Takakeisho. I think we all expected him to jump up to Sanyaku. He's still 21 years old. So.
Oh yeah, he's far from
not cooked. It's just a little disappointing it didn't happen.
Yeah, we're getting spoiled with the speed at which these prospects go. That a perfectly normal, this is a perfectly if you were to look back on just a random Ozeki or even a random Yokozuna, a year in the Joy, before they break through finally or before they turn the corner, fine, completely normal. Mm-hmm. But yes, expecting bigger things. So our runner-up for disappointment of the year is Teruno Fuji for not finishing 4 of the 6 Basho. He did garner 1 vote, but the other 3 of us all went for Kirishima for blowing that Yokozuna run at the beginning of the year. That was just so... It was frustrating how hard the brakes were pumped on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was our potential first Yokozuna since what, 21?
Since yep.
Yep. And honestly, it absolutely felt like it was almost inevitable. You know, like he was on such a run and then just absolutely reverted back to normal as just a fine level Sanyaku wrestler.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Well, I would argue below a fine level Sanyaku wrestler, as he's going to be dropping out of Sanyaku after this last Basho. So
well, that will be in 2025, not 2024 though.
Yeah. I will give him some credit. He did have a Jinyu show on Aki. So
and that
he's
just
still,
leads to more disappointment of what the
I
hell
know.
was the last Basho.
Yeah.
he's still got something in him, but it's just not always there.
Just not, yeah.
Frustrating,
sad.
to say the least.
Yes.
Okay, what do we got next?
All right. We got a handful. Have the Kimarite of the year, aka the Golden Gumbai. Gumbai.
Goombai.
Goombai.
It's Goombai.
Yeah, it is Goombai. Good call. This is gonna go great. I can already tell.
Ryan, you put this one on Flare.
Why did you give this one to Fleric?
We've just been doing a constant rotation every year of who's doing the categories. It's not like me specifically choosing, and this is just how the rotation landed this year. So don't worry, Fleric won't have this category for another 4 years.
Yeah.
We'll deal with that then. We'll work
Yes.
on our Japanese in the meantime.
My memory's not good enough to not call you out because I feel like I might have been doing this every single year or something like that.
Oh, no.
Anyways, our nominees that we have for our first one, we have Nimai Gary by Kirishima on Hatsu Day 13. A Nimai Gary is an ankle kicking twist down. The attacker kicks an off-balance opponent on the outside of the standing leg's foot, then throws him to the surface of the dohyo. We have some stats. It looks like we had 112 times in the top division that we've seen this Kimarite, but the first time in 10 years and the 23rd time since the modern era began in 1958.
This one I
pretty
feel
rare.
like is a little bit. So I'm going to be backing up Fleric because I got my my Tom Zabel book here.
Nice. Sensei Tom.
But this one I'm kind of curious if it's kind of a semantic thing because it's very similar to like an outside trip, except instead of wrapping the leg, you're just kind of kicking the ankle. This will come up with another one as well, but like I worry if this is one of the ones where it's like if it happens, it probably has happened more times by strict definition than what we have listed, but you know, when does it count as a trip versus a ankle sweep? You know, I wonder if that's part of the thing.
His right arm was on his head instead of on his shoulder or something like that, and that changes
Some
the
teeny tiny
Kimarite.
thing. Yeah, that's often the difference between these 80 some Kimarite that we deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, that was Kirishima in Hatsu. What's our next one?
All right. Number 2, we got the Tsutae Zori by Ura on Hatsu. It was a good basho for some cool Kimarite.
It was.
Hatsu Day 15. And Tsutae Zori is an underarm forward body drop. The attacker shifts the extended opponent's arm around and twisting the opponent behind one's back and down to the dohyo. This one has been used 4 times in the top division, and the last time was in 2022. In 2022 Kimarite of the Year by, of course, Ura. He's the guy really pumping up the stats.
Did it again.
All these Izori moves are like the backdrop where Ura is like lower than his opponent and like sneaks under their arm. Like if his head is already in their armpit and he sneaks the rest of the way through and somehow that results in the guy falling over. That's the Ura classic.
Yeah.
He attempts it far more often.
I wish he
yes.
wouldn't try it as often as he does, but
he had a bad one at the end of Q or sometime during Kyushu where I think he tried it. I think it was Wakamoto Haru and they were just like, no, go away.
yeah, what are you doing? And just threw him to the clay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one, like I said, if you watch Ura's style and you see how he like slips under his opponent's arm and puts his back against his opponent's body, that's this Izori family of moves. And yeah, this specific one that he landed just 2 years ago, super cool. I would recommend going back and watching that one. It's very confusing how somehow he like kind of spins and his opponent falls over, but very, very cool to watch.
Yeah. This is one that's very opposite, I would say, of the previous one, of where it's very unique when you see it. And it's like, oh, this is This is
Yeah.
definitely something. It's not like the hand was on his head rather than on his arm, kind of thing. This was definitely a very specific kind of flashy Kimarite that he pulled off.
Hmm.
So yeah, very very cool. All right, for our next Kimarite, we have Saka Totari by Hoshoryu on Nagoya Day 11 and Takara Fuji Aki Day 9. Oh, we got a double nomination on this one. Let's go. All right. We have the Saka Totari is an arm bar throw counter. The attacker takes the opponent's arm extended over one's arm and twists the arm downward while grabbing the opponent's body and throwing it in the same direction as the arm. It has made an appearance twice this year, but we haven't seen it in the lower division since 2021 and the top division since 2019.
So I added this one, and the reason that I did was because it was done by both guys this year. So Hoshoryu was able to pull it off, and Takara Fuji was able to pull it off. So that's why I wanted to just say it's for the Kimarite itself, but we saw it twice this year. So, and we hadn't seen it at all in the top division since 2019. I'm like, holy crap.
I do appreciate Kimarite that has been done by multiple people in a year. I think
exactly.
that does give it some credit.
Cool.
That does give it
this
some
one
credit.
this one is kind of special because Totari is a much more common method of victory, and Saka Totari is like the counter to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
basically,
I was wondering what's the difference between
this is the counter to the Totari.
It's kind of frustrating because like in the book and in videos, it's very difficult to see what the difference is. Like if you're just looking at it visually. Here, let me make a bookmark here. So a Totari is when you drag your opponent's arm across your body. So like he's facing to your side and you are facing his shoulder because you've pulled his arm all the way across you. And using that arm bar to force them down is a Totari. But if you force them across your body, but they manage to reach under and hook your arm and bend your arm backwards, then that's a Saka Totari. And it's kind of a last minute counter that, yeah, obviously doesn't happen super often. But if you look up Totari, that one happens. It's not like super common, but it happens all the time. So yeah, landing the last chance counter, and especially it happening twice this year for the first time in 5 years, super cool.
I'm sure the one Hoshoryu did looked much better than Takara Fuji's.
It probably happened a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And our last nominee that we have is Soku Biotoshi. And we had this by Tobizaru on Aki, day 14. Soku Biotoshi is a head chop down, pushing the opponent's head down from the back of the neck. And it hasn't been seen in the top division since 2019.
Yeah.
This
Another
one
where
I
it's
very
like,
much... Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna like, what's the difference between this and like a Hataki Komi?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
It's a chop.
The force with which you hit the head, since it's like specifically head chop down, I guess.
It might be, it might be that it's more of a strike than a push. Because looking at the video of this specific one, Tobizaru very like, what adjective? Maybe flamboyant. It was just kind of like a wind up and like a slap down, like
exaggerated, really
exaggerated. Yeah, that's a good word. So yeah, I don't know. I couldn't say the specific difference there, but my guess is that it's more of like the difference between like a Tsukiyotoshi or a Tsukidashi and an Oshidashi, where is it a strike or is it
just a thrust?
Yeah. So I don't know. But yeah, it's still weird and rare. And first time we saw it in 5 years in the top division.
All right. Of these ones, we have to pick one that has to be the winner. And of course, this one was another one that was a pretty easy one, I would say, kind of up there with Rikishi of the Year. Because, of course, the winner is Sutaezori of Ura on Hatsu Day 15. Sutaezori?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got it.
Sutaezori. Got it.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Sounds good.
No, you got
You're
it.
going to throw out saying something you just said? Okay. Sounds good.
No,
Anyways,
I don't think
that is the
really
winner.
any debate on this one.
No, it is way so super flashy. Like I said, it is just of the weird ones that he pulls off. Like he's pulled off like Uchari at the edge and looks really cool and flashy. But this is just one where it's like, huh? How did that work? Because he puts himself in such a precarious position to like kind of get under there, and then he just kind of pushes with his legs, and then somehow the other guy falls over.
Yeah. You're not putting yourself in a good position to do it. You're like, doing it to be extra and to be flashy like Ura is, which is why he tries it all the time. But he tries it all the time, and he's only hit it twice in his career. And you see it at least once a Basho where he's trying to flip somebody on his back, and so he can like drop him down. And most of the time, they're just like, guy, come on,
Stop it.
No.
Get out of here.
But when he hits it,
when he hits
goodness,
it's gonna
so
win.
good.
It's gonna win Kimarite of the year every time.
He's not going for Yushos. He's going for the GSB Kimarite of the year, the golden done by.
The more prestigious award. I will say he's only hit the Tsutai Izori twice, but he has also hit a Izori and a Tazuki Izori, which are in the same family of moves. So like it's the similar type of thing, and that's the difference. That's a group where the difference is like tiny hand placement things.
Yeah.
Roughly 4 times that he's gotten this type of thing to work. But yeah, if you were to look at his overall success rate on trying it, it's not super high.
Yeah. All right, before we move on to our next category, we are reaching the end of 2024 and seeing the horizon that is 2025. And so with New Year's always come New Year's resolutions. So each of us has a New Year resolution in regards to sumo and the podcast that we would like to share. I'll go ahead and start. I resolved to be an even bigger hater and double down on my opinions of Rikishi I dislike, despite any success that they might have.
You got to really dig in your heels. Yeah. Once you hate a guy, you got to hate him, right?
You just got to hate him.
No more waffling.
Once you have an opinion, you got to keep that opinion. Never change it.
Despite new evidence?
Any evidence to the contrary.
Despite any evidence. No.
This is very on brand. I appreciate it. I can't wait to see this evolve. All right, I have a new resolution as well. Actually, a couple I will throw out here. And one of my resolutions is I'm going to start a cult for the people who are not buying Wakataka Kage's hype. Because I know I'm not the only one out there. And I don't care about the 3 double-digit like Bashos he had on his way up. I don't know. I think something is just not going to work out.
You before you move on to the rest of your resolutions, you say you're not the only one out there. The results of our popularity poll might suggest otherwise. It might be you and like one other lonely person joining this cult.
You know what? I don't need to have a big cult.
Misery loves company.
Exactly.
Yeah, cults are more quality than quantity, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't say I was going to be good at making cults. And speaking of cults that go against the popularity thing, I'm going to start another cult for people who like Gonoyama.
Top 10 least favorite Rikishi, Gonoyama.
I'm going to start that this year because, you know what? I think there's something to him. And for the last one, I'm just going to start another cult because apparently this is my thing this year. I'm also going to make one for people who dig Thai milk iced tea because holy shit, I've been enjoying those this past
Good
month.
stuff.
They are good stuff. Oh my goodness. So yeah, if you want to join on that one's probably gonna be a popular one. That's one I'm gonna make my millions from.
I'm gonna
If
say
any of us were to start a cult.
Yeah, Flair could.
Yeah, Flair could be the one to do it.
Yeah.
All right, so how about I say I resolve not to join any cults this year,
Very on brand for you, Jake.
regardless of how appealing their sales pitches are.
Flair, keep working.
But no, as usual, I'm the one who's going to pump the brakes and put it back in the Amazumo category here. I guess I resolved to travel less for Amazumo, and spend more time teaching other people to do the stuff that I do at tournaments. You know, like give a man a fish versus teach a man to fish kind of situation. You know, like if more people. If I spent more time making resources for people to learn how to do like streaming brackets, that kind of stuff, you know, I bet that would probably be a better use of my time than trying to travel all the time. But I still do like to travel, so I'm going to do a little bit.
Just dial it back a little.
Oh yeah, don't gotta go cold turkey.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to challenge myself this next year. I resolve to actually find someone to root against in the top division. And regardless of their champ v chump status, regardless of whoever we pick, like I want to find somebody to hate. I'm taking a page from Ryan's book here. Like there's, I find people to actively root for. And I love like the flavor of the week in that sense. I'm like, no, I need a constant negative, which is not cool for me because that's not how
No, that is challenging yourself.
That's
quite a
not
bit,
how
yeah.
I be. I'm like, this is not me. So I'm going to try and find somebody to hate. And then I also resolved to lose these last freaking 15 pounds I've been struggling to lose because it's not been going well.
Yeah, that's very anti-sumo of you, though.
I know it's anti-sumo. Hey, see right there, anti-sumo, anti-person. This negativity, man, it just doesn't work for me.
Try it on, Mac. If it feels right, roll with it. But you know, if it's just too against you as a person, it's not good for everybody. I enjoy getting a good hate in on people when it's nice to be able to cheer for the good things to happen, but they so rarely happen that the payoff isn't there. But bad things to happen to people, those happen all the time.
Let me
so
root against somebody mediocre and I win all the time. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to challenge myself this time around.
Mac, do I have the cult for you of wanting to hate? What are your feelings about Wakataka Kage?
No, I like Wakataka Kage. I thought you were going to do Gonoyama.
What are your feelings on remote compounds in the wilderness that are hidden from the eyes of the authorities?
We don't talk about those.
Are we pro or are we anti?
No comment at this time.
What kind of cults are you running, Jake? I might want to get on this.
I feel like wilderness compound is kind of like 101 for cults.
Yeah.
All right. Our next award is the funniest moment of the year, the Golden Shakira. I wanted to make sure that wasn't a typo. It is the Golden Shakira Award. Okay, who wrote this script?
I'm pretty sure I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure last year there was something with like we had originally this was a Golden Shokiri, and then we also had another award is the Golden Kensho, and somehow that got changed to Golden Kesha at one point, and then there was either a mispronunciation last year or we made a joke. Shokiri sounds like Shakira, so from now on it's just the Golden Shakira.
Well, if the stats don't lie.
If the
I
hits
love
don't
how
lie.
you started that out with, I don't really remember, but here's the detailed exact story.
I think that's what happened. I'm like 70% sure.
The nominees for this category are the Gyoji gets knocked over, points Goombay while on his ass.
Yes, that was the Hira de Umi versus Hoshoryu match, which will be showing up once again in our match of the year conversation.
Mm-hmm. That was a really, really focused sumo energy in that specific match.
Yeah.
Our next nominee is the Hira de Umi and Ura fight 3 times as they get back-to-back Tori Naoshi. Give these men a break or just decide who wins. Come on, ring judges, do something.
And my favorite part about that was how much flippy Ura got each and every time.
Yeah. Progressively more.
He just commits to like every single time. He was like had an insane flip. It was visually pleasing to watch.
Got to please the people.
Yeah.
And the final nominee for this category, Gonoyama versus Hoshoryu's rivalry. The payback matches, the pettiness galore. I mean, what's not to love about these two going head to head?
The fact that Gonoyama hasn't been good enough this year to keep fighting Hoshoryu.
So there you go. The funniest moment of the year. And the winner, as I pull it up on my phone for the first time. Actually, I am.
You're allowed to look into these before we start recording.
No, I wasn't. I was like,
I'm actually with Mac. I'm not looking at my results until we get to reading them.
Yeah, that's what I do. It's like I wanted to see. Aha! With a win of 2 votes, it's the Gyoji getting knocked over.
All right,
there we go.
It was a 2 to 1 to 1.
2 to 1 to 1.
All right,
Nice.
Who voted for the Gyoji?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
That was
You went for
hilarious.
the Ura one then, Ryan, because I went for the Gonoyama versus Hoshoryu rivalry.
Yeah, I did the Hira de Umi versus. It just made me so happy, and this was my only chance to vote for it. And so I really wanted to, just because just so happy, and it is very funny to just think about like having to get like back-to-back rematches, especially with Ura involved. It was just fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah. I will say of the Gonoyama versus Hoshoryu, the way it started with like, was it like a couple minutes stare down? Because Hoshoryu wanted Gonoyama to put his fist down first because he was the Ozeki. And it was just, I don't know, there's something about that that's just kind of really just, I find really funny. And I just add some spice to every single time they go off, because if anything is funky, I just know it's because of that one moment, like just like in this past couple months.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just love that.
But I can't deny the worthiness of our, not only a Gyoji, but the top Tate Gyoji getting knocked over on his ass, and then like just the action was moving towards him in a way that allowed him to not get up, and then like the finish happened right next to him, and he's got to just stay on his ass and point the Goombay over towards Hoshoryu sides as he finally pushes Hiradoumi out.
Yep. That was the only time I've ever seen that, along with, what was the other weird Gyoji one? I think it was like he pointed to a blank space for the winner because Mitakeumi won the match, but also got carted off.
Yeah. Something like that.
I
That
don't
one
know.
less
Just
funny,
some-
though.
It wasn't funny,
that
but it
one
was
you felt
just as
bad.
weird and like off the wall.
The other Gyoji moment I remember from this year was, I don't remember which match it was, but it was the new Gyoji that was elevated to Tate. I think it was this guy that was elevated to Tate Gyoji in Aki, and he was pointed the wrong direction for the beginning of the match. Like typically your Gyoji is going to be like standing straight towards the camera and then watches as they do the Tachi-ai, but he was still pointed to the side, thought they were like still doing their like false starts or whatever, like the whole setup is called. And then the two Rikishi just went because they knew it was the proper time to do it. And so the Gyoji was a little behind the times on that, but that was the other interesting Gyoji moment I remembered from this year.
I would mess that up so much, like counting number of times. The biggest thing I would mess up is knowing which side is east and west and like who is on each side. Like,
No, I don't blame you there.
I have no idea how to do it.
If they flipped sides that they were on during the match, which happens probably 50% of the matches, that would just throw me off, and I'd just always point to the side that the person who won was
you did
currently on.
I gotta say, as somebody who has done amateur sumo matches, the wrestlers also often don't remember.
Wait, what happened?
Yep, it's super easy to forget which side you started on, especially when, I don't know. It's
I mean, dancing around
shockingly
the
easy.
ring, and you're like, wait, who was over there?
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to our next category, our villain of the year, the Golden Sean Diddy Combs. Our nominees are Hokuseiho for being a bullying asshole, Miyagino Oyakata for allowing a bullying asshole to continue with little to no consequences, Asanoyama's body. He was only able to complete one full Basho this year, and he's been Kyujo in 5 of his 8 Makuuchi Basho since his return from his suspension. And also Ono Sato. I wanted to fill out the nominees, get at least 4 in there. Ono Sato, he was reprimanded by the JSA for drinking with a minor in his stable and had to publicly apologize. So a little light
How
on
dare
the...
he.
Maybe not light on the scandals this year.
Yeah.
Because the Hokuseiho Miyagino one was
Yeah, it was
fairly
kinda
heavy.
big.
But
It
when
was
your
a-
second heaviest
yeah.
one is that Ono Sato thing, that's okay.
That's what I was gonna say. Like as far as scandals this year, I feel like we kind of got away not to, mostly unscathed.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened was bad and sucked.
Yeah, no. Don't want to
heavy
make light of that,
consequences,
but
yeah.
But it was one thing. The perpetrator's gone, and swift and significant action was taken to correct it.
in
Honestly,
years
that's
past,
kind of a
there
best
have
case
been
scenario.
Well, in years past when we've done this, there have been multiple scandals,
Yeah.
like multiple incidents of Rikishi or Oyakata, and it's like, okay, this year we only have one. Still bad, but not as bad as past years.
Yeah.
All right. So the winner of the Golden Sean Diddy Combs in a vote of 3-1 is Hokuseiho. And the one vote was for Miyagino Oyakata. So obviously all wrapped up in that situation. But yeah, most of us putting the blame on that. I mean, both of them highly deserving of blame, but Hokuseiho winning the award in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the buck stops with the coach. I get that. That's the counter argument.
And that's why I voted for it. That was me. So I was like, it stops with the coach. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That makes sense. I
We
will
can
say,
move
like,
on from... Oh, sorry.
I was going to say the one thing kind of that pulled me with Hokuseiho is because he was kind of like a hot prospect for like the last couple of years. He kind of mellowed out because he definitely had the style. He didn't seem to like get past it and improve.
Yeah.
But he was kind of like, for a while, he was kind of like one of the hot prospects we were kind of hoping about. And then when he found out about this bowling scandal, it was like, oh, come on, what's going on here? It was kind of very much kind of a downer, and to me that was just kind of very, very kind of brought me down about that with him, elevating him to villain status in my mind.
Totally. Yeah, he wasn't super popular with that slow leaning style, but it was, to me, it was like, it was interesting because it was unique, and because if he added one or two tricks to that, I feel like he could have gotten a lot further. So promising, but like, if you're that big of a dick, I don't want you in sumo. So next up, we have another outdated title.
No, this one is a treasure.
The comeback of the year. The comeback of the year award is the Golden Brendan Fraser.
What do you mean outdated? Brendan Fraser's made a huge comeback over the past year.
And he's back now, though. So, like, we don't need to, like, continue.
No, we need more.
He's recently made his comeback.
Yeah.
Is he still doing
But, like,
stuff?
last year
Yes,
at
he's still
least,
doing
right?
stuff.
How long ago was the whale?
2024?
Yeah, exactly.
The whale was last year, like late last year.
The
And
whale
then he's
came out in
2022.
2022.
But he won the Academy Award last year, and he's been
I'm renaming
continuing to
this
do
one
stuff.
to something that's accurate to 2024.
Let it be known that Jake does hate Brendan Fraser. You leave him
already
alone.
used this title.
No, we didn't. We didn't use that last year.
We didn't? What was it last year then?
Let me look it up.
It's already out of date. In honor of Dune Part 2 coming out, the comeback of the year is the Golden House Atreides.
I'm using my veto. I'm using my veto.
I'm accepting.
Ryan uses veto.
On the title change.
All right, Ryan has no veto, but I'm going to continue anyways. The nominees for the comeback of the year, Takeru Fuji for.
He's actually doing
He's actually overwriting it in the outline. Do I own this? Can I kick him out? Who owns this document?
Stop it.
Our nominees for the comeback of the year include Takeru Fuji for day 15 of Haru. On day 14 was when he got injured and was like literally wheelchaired out of the arena. And on day 15, he came back, won anyways to secure his Yusho title in March. Next up, we have Wakataka Kage returning to the top division after a torn ACL and immediately getting 3 10-plus win Bashos. So very much back in form. That ACL, we were all worried it could be a career ender or at least a career like dampener. But yeah, he seems basically right where he was before the injury. So super, super big comeback for Wakataka Kage. We also have Takanosho. After a few years of being out of Sanyaku, after being he was a Sanyaku mainstay for quite a while, often being Sekiwake. He was a serious threat for a long time this year, or not a long time, for several Basho this year. He had 3 10-plus win Bashos and was a major factor in 2 different Yusho races. And in Nagoya, for example, he was 3 wins behind Teruno Fuji on day 10 and still managed to force a playoff, which he promptly lost.
Yeah.
But
beating Teruno Fuji
it
on the way to forcing that playoff.
Yep. So pretty big comeback for him. Kind of a downer, I suppose, that he ended the year not being quite as impactful, but for a good chunk of 2024, he absolutely was his old self.
He was 11-4 and was up fighting the Ozeki in the Yusho race this last Basho.
Yeah, maybe I'm just misremembering because I was a little bit disappointed he didn't follow. Yeah, I'm misremembering. Yeah, in July he had that Jun Yusho playoff, and then he was Magashiro 1. Yeah, and he went 4-11 in that follow up. But then switching it back to 11-4 once he was out of the Joy. So regardless, though, our last nominee is Asanoyama, who returned to the Sanyaku ranks for the first time in 3 years after being suspended for a year for breaking COVID protocols. So and long way up for him.
For just for continuity's sake, comeback of the year last year was the Golden Futurama. It was not the Golden Brendan Fraser.
Of course, you've spent this whole time working on that.
It took me like 2 seconds. I've just been waiting till you got done with the nominees.
Was Futurama topical in 2023?
Yeah, it came back.
Yeah, it came back.
Oh, okay.
It didn't really stay back, but I mean, they put out a few more episodes that were, I guess, fine.
I get you.
Okay. Came out on Hulu.
So the Golden House Atreides, the runner-up.
No,
I'm sorry.
That was vetoed.
That's the rules.
Vetoed.
You're right. And only one veto can be used on a category if it's already been used. So
Oh God, this better not be a 50-50 tie.
it is not a 50-50 tie. We have a runner-up, Takeru Fuji, coming back on day 15 for that win. That's our runner-up. But the winner of the Golden, Brendan Fraser, is Wakataka Kage, getting back to the top division after getting those 3 consecutive 10-win Bashos and getting all the way back up near the top of the Bansuke, right where he left off. So fully deserving. I don't think this one was, I don't know. In my mind, this was a pretty easy one to pick. Asanoyama could have been there if he'd stayed up there. But yeah, the fact that he hasn't, but Wakataka Kage seems to be 100% fine and back in form, that's got to be the one.
As I was like trying to find nominees for this, because I felt like Takeru Fuji and Wakataka Kage were very easy nominees, but I wanted more than 2 in there. And like I was kind of buying into the whole Takanosho narrative of this being like a comeback year for him, and it's like how well he has performed multiple times this year to get 3 10+ win Bashos and be a major factor in 2 Yusho races, but it wasn't enough. I'm pretty sure I voted for Wakataka Kage. I honestly don't remember. I could be the one vote for Takeru Fuji.
No, I was the vote for Takeru Fuji.
Okay, yeah,
I
there you
voted
go.
for Wakataka Kage.
That's
a good point.
The man started a
should have
cult
known.
to that effect as of a few minutes ago.
Yes, join me. Yeah, no, I'm with you. When you were talking about Takanosho, I was kind of starting to actually pick up on this hype because it actually is a really good kind of comeback because it's maybe not the same high highs as maybe Wakataka Kage, and the fact that he's kind of dropped down from the Joy and he has to do that in order to get his results is kind of a little bit iffy, probably a little bit against him. But you know, he has a Kimboshi, like he has a couple Kimboshis this year.
Oh yeah,
and a Jun Yusho, Kanto show, and another special prize and Kyushu. It's definitely a really good year for him.
Yeah. His like you said, I think the peaks and the valleys of his story are less extreme compared to Wakataka Kage, so that just makes it less dramatic, I think.
Before we go into our next award category, we are going to dive into our in memoriam segment, as every award show must have. First, before we get into kind of the jokey stuff, we do want to mention a couple of major figures in sumo that passed away this year. We had a couple of Yokozuna that unfortunately passed away this year. Akebono, the 64th Yokozuna, and quite recently, Kitano Fuji, the 52nd Yokozuna, both unfortunately passed away this year.
I don't know if we have enough to do a full bonus episode on Kitano Fuji, but Akebono we have covered in the distant past. We've done a bonus episode or 2 that covered Americans in sumo in like the 90s and 2000s. But yeah, there's not much we can really add to the conversation on either of these guys. They were both huge figures that have plenty of media out there. Akebono in particular has a ton of material out there in English too, because he was American. And if you watch sumo in the 90s growing up, Akebono was definitely the face of that for any Americans who caught sumo anywhere. So major influential figure. He'd been struggling with his health for quite a while. But yeah, this year he did pass away, but he is not somebody that has to worry about his legacy whatsoever.
Yep. All right, we'll move on to our list of former Maegashira Rikishi that have retired this year. That list does include Hokuseiho, but it also includes better people like Terutsu Yoshi and Koto Eiko, Taka Keisho, Aoyama, Miyogiryu, and the 38th Kimura Shonosuke, Hideki Imaoka, the Tate Gyoji that recently retired.
And recent getting involved, and he was the Gyoji knocked over of the funniest moment of the year winner as well.
He just won. Yeah, he just won a GSB award as well.
Yeah. So he was happy to retire now that he has achieved all he can achieve in his job.
Absolutely,
indeed.
I do think that Taka Keisho, Aoyama, Miyogiryu are retiring all in this year it's definitely impactful, because I'm pretty sure that there are now only like 2 or 3 guys on the entire Bansuke that predate our coverage or like our interest in sumo. well, yeah, I guess let's go ahead and name them all. The most obvious to me is Tamawashi.
Yep.
Terunofuji technically was he was an Ozeki right when we started watching, but it wasn't until after 2020 that he started coming back. Who else we got? Shodai,
Endo, Shodai,
Takarafuji,
Mitaki
and
Hokuto Fuji.
So more than I thought, but yeah, those we lost.
Daisho.
Was he in the top division when we started?
2015.
I think he's been
was his first time.
Yeah. Well, regardless, losing three of those guys, Takakeisho, Aoyama, Myogiryu in 1 year, that's a good chunk, and I imagine that this category will be just as big next year.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely a couple. Aoyama was definitely a mainstay, and just losing him definitely feels like definitely turning some pages in sumo to.
Jake, we forgot a big one of the names.
Oh no,
Takayasu.
Oh my god. Well, yeah. What's wrong with this?
We didn't get that far down to Bonsuke yet. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have to travel a little further down.
I was going to say the opposite. When I was looking at a Bonsuke from 2017, I was like, oh man, the guy's way at the top. I mean, I can't imagine that those guys would be on this list. But no, I guess Takayasu, he was just too good back then for me to remember. But yeah, we're going to have a lot of old guys retiring next year.
Oof.
Yeah,
Nishikigi.
Wait. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're the
Sadano Umi, I bet too. I bet he was in the top division. Jesus. Okay, I guess I'm terrible at this.
Only the point you were trying to make, Jake, was actually really terrible. Yeah.
Only a third of the entire upper division Bonsuke was in Makuuchi when we started this show.
I'm checking Kagayaki. He debuted in the top division in 2016. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just shut up then. Endo.
Okay. All right. There's a few other things that we're going to be saying goodbye to in 2024. The Miyagino Beya shut down, kind of swallowed up by Isegahama Beya. Koto Nowaka. Don't know where that guy went. He
was so promising.
Yep. The search for the next crop of Yokozuna can be put to rest. Hopefully, we found 2 to 3 to 4 guys this year that can step up and take that next step up. Not saying necessarily this next Basho, but I think we've identified the next crop.
That is very much like you're trying to jinx it by saying something like that.
I'm not trying to jinx it. I'm being hopeful.
Being hopeful, yeah.
I'm trying it on. Like Mac is going to try on the negativity. I'm going to try on the negativity,
man.
Optimism.
Yeah, like last year, like a year ago today, we were like Kirishima might be Yokozuna, but that's kind of all we got right now. And this year, it's like there are like I think there are probably 5 guys that I think could be the next Yokozuna, and it wouldn't be a complete shock to me. Maybe 4.
Okay, I was going to say, who would be your number 5?
Yeah.
I mean, all 3 of the Ozeki have proved that they are doing the thing right now.
Yep.
Takeru Fuji, I mean, if he steps on the gas again, it could be him. And yes, I guess it's those guys. Wakataka Kage is in like the next tier down. I don't think he's there, but he's in the next tier down. Kirishima could wake up again, but I doubt that.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fact that it's a conversation rather than being like, I guess it's Kirishima or nobody for a while.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Flarix, if you're not first, your last streak has finally come to an end in 2024.
How many
That's
in a row
sad.
was it that you either won or lost our Champ Chump series?
This year, at least 5.
It was 6 or 7 going back to last year.
Jeez.
It was quite some time. It was big swings, but then I got second place. So we'll see how long I stick around here.
We're saying goodbye to all of Mac's favorite Rikishi, Kotoeko, retired. Kiyomaru going down to Makushita. Shishi going down to Juryo.
Everything I love runs away from me.
That's why Mac is turning to hate instead.
Yeah, exactly.
I need hate.
The more you hate something, the more it will never leave you.
Yes. Apparently. We're going to give this a try.
We're also saying goodbye to Kirishima's short-lived Ozeki status, Oho's lack of confidence and fire, Takayasu's role of perennial Yusho contender, Hoshoryu's day 1 losing streak, anyone's chances of ever breaking the quickest top division Yusho after Takeru Fuji and Onosato broke it in back-to-back Bashos.
Nonsense.
And apparently Jake's Amazumo Makekoshi streak.
Yes, I got a winning record in Indiana, and that was the only time I've ever come close to that.
Let's go.
And as long as we're shouting that out, I got to remind everyone that Fleric got a winning record in his 15 matches in one day tournament down in Dallas this year at Rollertown. So
That was good.
Boy.
Iowa Sumo doing some good things this year.
I did the tournament, though, in November where Jake did well. I did terribly.
I did not mention that one. Did not mention your performance at that. That was not your day.
That was not my day.
All right, Fleric, what is our next category?
All right. The next one we have is Punishment of the Year, a.k.a. the Golden Tsukebito, which is something that's just timeless.
Yeah.
Like, Tsukebitos would never leave you, especially if you encase them in gold.
It'll be less effective at fetching your coffee, though.
That's true.
But damn
All
it,
right,
will they look good not doing it.
All right. The nominees we have is number 1, Kyushu, Fleric, the mystery punishment that never appeared yet. So it's kind of a mystery. In
The
itself.
mystery lingers. Yeah.
So I think that should garner some votes. Think about it. Think about it. Next one we have is Hatsu. This was Mac, who was the loser. He had the Office Space parody, which I remember went on for a very, very long time.
Oh, yes. I did the whole scene. You said the
Which is-
Bobs. I was like, all right, we're going to go deep into this one.
Which was, I think it was you, Jake, who picked that one, right? You were saying like we can't get him with shame.
No,
We can make him with
that was
work.
a fan choice for the movie.
Yeah, that was a fan choice.
Wait, everybody
I left
vote
that
on
up to
that
the
one.
fans. No, you,
I do
because you
remember that
did.
one.
You wanted it to go to the fans.
I do remember that. That was me being a man of the people, which
Yes.
is truly what I am. You have to remember that, fans.
A man
And
of
you
his specific people in his cult.
It's close, yeah.
It's called.
I take care of my people, is what I'm trying to say. Join me.
We have
Okay,
so much
so-
fresh water out at our wilderness compound.
That's interesting. I definitely remember calling that out. Maybe that was talking about it later down the thing. But yeah, that was definitely quite the punishment. I remember with Mac doing the Office Space parody.
Mm-hmm.
Next one we have is Haru. We had Jake doing some slam poetry, aka some cake lyrics. It's the big thing I remember.
That one was a lot of fun.
That was pretty good. I remember enjoying that. For Natsu, we have me, one of my losses, Fleric doing a D20 of Doom. I've definitely kind of blocked out a lot of the stuff I said so I can actually get some sleep at night. But I do remember some Ultimate Frisbee stuff being thrown out there that I do not endorse or believe in. I just
You hear that first? Fleric does not endorse or believe in Ultimate Frisbee.
That's what I heard.
The opinions that I said on that episode when I was
Which were pro Ultimate Frisbee. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't remember enough, so I'm going to recuse my statement here.
Fleric drinks
putting
heavily on
asterisk.
the episodes where he has to do punishments.
It's
Just everybody, so everybody knows.
It's the only way I get through.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have Nagoya. We had Jake's punishment, which is our sumo erotica of the year, which was just but he misunderstood the instructions.
But he misunderstood that one.
Nothing sensual about it.
Nothing sensual
Nothing at all.
whatsoever. That was
Nothing at all.
the instructions on how to tie a mawashi, right?
Exactly, yeah. It was just very helpful and instructive and not all homoerotic. So and the last one we had this year was Aki. This one I do remember quite well because it was still stuck in my head. Fleric, it was me losing again. This was me eating spicy food of where I ate some wings and had progressively spicier hot sauces that my friend gave to me. And especially the last couple were just awful. So that was painful. Yeah.
Hold on. I didn't hear my name at all for any of these punishments. Did we miss one of my
Ryan,
punishments because Ryan lost a Basho? What happened?
Ryan,
here?
we acknowledge that you suck with losing, so be quiet.
I just can't do it.
No,
It's
exactly,
impossible.
because you're
be done.
impossible when you lose. You're impossible when you win. You're worse when you lose.
Ryan, I think we should make sure to rub it in that he was the most mediocre this year, and he
There you
got
go.
one win, no losses, and that was it. He's just always second and third.
Yeah.
Which
Don't worry.
averages me to above you and Mac.
We were
Sure, I won twice this year.
You won once this year.
We'll agree to disagree on which number that.
Anyway,
Nope, I misread that. You're right.
let's glance over that. Anyway.
But no, Ryan, we all got punished with Jake Sumo Erotica. So you can't say you have not been punished this year.
It's true.
And tell me you weren't punished at least somewhat during Aki when I provided that beautiful soundboard for Jake to use at his
That was
leisure.
fun. That was the absolute worst. I hated it.
I enjoyed
So
making that one. That's so good.
That's great. All right. So, and the winners we have, it looks like we have 2 runner-ups. One of them is Jake in Nagoya, How to Tie a Mawashi, the classic of Sumo Erotica. Our other runner-up is looks like Fleric and Natsu, the D20 of Doom, which made me turn Sumo into Ultimate Frisbee. And we have the one winner with 50% of the votes. We have Slam Poetry by Jake and Haru, where he threw down some sick rhymes, and we snapped afterwards in solidarity.
I'm going to pretend that's somehow a win for me.
Your Suke Bito will be in the mail.
Excellent. Poke air holes in the box
within
for him, please.
3 to 6 weeks.
Oh, he's not alive.
Yeah, he's been in that gold casing for the past 8 years.
Nobody
7 or
poked
8
holes
years.
in the gold casing?
No.
Nope.
No. None big enough to fit food through, at least.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yep.
Our next award is the Basho of the Year Award, the Golden Kokuki-kan. We had quite a few amazing tournaments this year. 6 of them, in
roughly.
fact. So let's recount how amazing these 6 tournaments were. There was Hatsu, the Terano Fuji Yusho, Kotonowaka Jun Yusho. There was also a playoff, 13-2 Onosato's debut, top of the Bansuke dominance, and Kotonowaka promoted to Ozeki after the Basho. Next up, there was Haru, where Takeru Fuji got his Yusho. Hoshoryu, Onosato, and Takayasu both got all 3 got Jun Yushos, not both. Takeru Fuji sets and ties multiple records in his best Makuuchi debut of the time. Takakeisho staves off Kadoban, then dips. Terano Fuji and Kirishima disappoint, and Onosato continues to impress. Following that, we had the Natsu Basho, where Onosato wins the Yusho. Kotozakura and Daieisho both get Jun Yushos. Onosato breaks the record for quickest Yusho from debut, Makushita Sukedashi. In just his 7th Basho overall, 3rd in the top division, and 1st in the Sanyaku ranks. The Sanyaku was devastated by injuries. Terano Fuji, Takakeisho, Kirishima, Wakamoto Haru, and Asanoyama all Kyujo. And unfortunately, Kirishima was demoted from Ozeki. Damn it. That was not a fun one. I didn't like that one.
Yeah.
Then the Nagoya Basho. Terano Fuji wins the Yusho, and Takanosho wins the Jun Yusho. Hey, way to go. There was a playoff at 12-3. Kirishima fails to reach the 10 wins to return to Ozeki. Takakeisho is also demoted from Ozeki, and Wakatakakage returns to the top division. Then in Aki, we have Onosato winning the Yusho. Wakatakakage and Kirishima win the Jun Yushos. Hey, Onosato's dominant throughout the entire tournament. The Yusho is wrapped up on day 14, and Takakeisho announces his retirement after pulling out on day 3. Little bit of sad one with that one. And finally, the Kyushu Basho, where Kotozakura wins the Yusho and Hoshoryu gets the Jun Yusho. Dominant performances from Kotozakura and Hoshoryu, resulting in a 13-13 match for the Yusho on day 15. What more can you ask for that? And Takeru Fuji gets 10 wins and return to the top division. Hey, pretty good overall.
Yeah, there were definitely 3 in there where I could have thrown my vote.
Yeah, this was probably my toughest category. Because like I feel like it's very easy to with as many basho as there are every year, and as long as we've been following it, a lot of the time we often simplify our memories of individual bashos down to just like who won it.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's tough to say like the general level of fun sumo matches was higher or lower in a specific basho. So we kind of have to simplify it down to storylines. But like, yeah, there's a ton of good storylines. Like the young guy's winning, Terano Fuji still maintaining his top status whenever he does compete. I don't know. But yeah, where did our votes end up?
Well, our votes ended up, we had one runner-up, and that was Natsu. And then the winner was Haru.
The
Okay, there
Takeru
we go.
Fuji
Yep,
historic
Takeru Fuji. Three
Yusho.
votes.
Yep.
I'll be honest, those would be the top two that I would pick. Yeah. The first win for
really?
each of those two guys.
Natsu wasn't in my like top 3, really.
Ono Sato winning his first. That
Yeah.
storyline is a big deal for me for sure. Because I do not expect that to be. I expect there to be many. So the very first one is going to be special. That's kind of my thinking.
This year, like I distinctly remember Hatsu, Haru, and Kyushu were like the 3 where I was like very excited to see how those played out. Like Hatsu, like all of the Ozeki and then Koto no Waka at Sekiwake at the time and the Yokozuna were all killing it that Basho. And like it like came down to like the final 3 days. It was going to be like all 4 of those guys facing all 3 of each other, and that was going to determine the Yusho. And so it's super fun Yusho race at the end there. And then Haru, obviously, Takeru Fuji, historic. And then Kyushu with Kotozakura and Hoshoryu meeting up at 13-1, 13-1. I loved the Kyushu Basho as well.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think Kyushu, like with some of the Yusho races on some of these Bashos were just fantastic, especially Kyushu. I remember that one being very dramatic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of recency bias to it as well, but Kyushu was a lot of just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like weird stuff happening, like especially the triple match with Ura and Tobizaru, was it? Or Hiradoumi. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's recency bias definitely plays into that because I couldn't pick a random match out of Haru, for example, other than the top storylines.
Yeah. But all that said, the Haru one is the one I voted for because the Takeru Fuji storyline is just so good. And like I kind of like forgot about on day 14 how like he kind of like really hurt his ankle, and he still kind of came back the next day and just kind of
He went to the
able
hospital
to get
after day 14, came back and won on day 15.
It was so dramatic. It was just so fun. And this guy just kind of came out of nowhere. We just know that he's like in the same stable as Teru no Fuji. Do we have like Teru no Fuji part 2? What's going on here? And it was just, it was so good. It was very refreshing. And that storyline just kind of the entire year, that's the one that has stuck with me.
Yeah.
Or at least,
That's the only Basho where the BBC called us afterwards to get an interview with us
That's
on
true.
a podcast.
There is that.
So,
But I voted for Natsu because Ono Sato's Yusho. Establishment of dominance and continuing to perform. I have high hopes for him in the future. Like I just thought this is great. This is the start of something awesome. And thus far it is, which now makes me worry because everything I love runs away from me. God, what have I done?
Mac,
Thanks,
hate
Mac.
Ono Sato.
I
I just hate Ono Sato.
can't.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
not
think
2025 yet.
Natsu is a completely defensible choice for in my mind. But yeah, I think Haru has to take it.
All right, moving on to the match of the year, the Golden Kesha. Our Hatsu
Spelled appropriately.
So this is going to
Kesha
come down.
Mawashis. Go ahead.
This is going to come down to our 6 match of the Bashos that we selected throughout the year. So our Hatsu match of the Basho was Tobizaru versus Ura on day 13. Our Haru match of the Basho was Kirishima versus Koto no Waka on day 15. Our Natsu match of the Basho, Hoshoryu versus Hiradoumi on day 4, featuring a Gyoji falling over on his ass and pointing to the winner from his ass. That's not the reason why that's a match of the Basho, but it helps.
It didn't hurt. Yeah,
It didn't hurt. Our Nagoya match of the Basho, Teru no Fuji versus Ura on day 7. Our Aki match of the Basho, Ono Sato versus Koto Zakura. And our Kyushu match of the Basho, Ono Katsu versus Shishi on day 3. So Jake doesn't know how to fill out forms.
I was having
votes.
NyQuil fever dreams when I was trying to fill this out, and I was like, I bet they'll be less mad at me if I partially fill this out than if I just don't do it and try to sleep. So I guess Ryan's going to give me some shit for it either way.
Yeah.
But
So
either way, I was
we
not
have-
feeling good yesterday.
We have 3 votes right now for match of the year. I'm going to read the results as they stand right now, and then Jake will reveal who his vote is.
I should
for
veto
match
my
of the
own vote
Basho.
for fun.
So
Get Ryan back for messing with my titling.
we have 1 vote for Teruno Fuji versus Ura. We have 1 vote for Onokatsu versus Shishi. We have 1 vote for Kirishima versus Koto no Waka.
Ah, nuts. The one I was going to vote for hasn't gotten a vote.
Hey,
we could do a
if
four-way
that's the
tie.
way it lies, that's the way it lies.
Oh, I was going to
Wait.
say Hoshoryu versus Hiradomi.
Say that again, Ryan. What do we got?
Kirishima versus Koto no Waka, Hoshoryu versus Hiradoumi, Teruno Fuji versus Ura, Onokatsu versus
No.
Shishi.
The votes. The way the votes lied, not the nominees.
No,
that is how
he's
the
reading
votes
them
lie.
off. Mac, worry about typing them in later.
It's a
Because-
4-way tie, Mac.
Yeah.
We all voted
Jeez.
for something different.
Yeah.
What Ryan is this of where you're okay with a 4-way tie?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
going
This is
on?
the
doesn't feel good.
funniest tie there can be, Flerick.
What's Ryan's vote? Let's veto that one and make
Besides-
it a 3-way tie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 1, I don't have my veto. I can't do anything about it. And
Yeah.
2, if we veto this, we're just gonna end up with a 3-way tie, and so
This
it
is
really doesn't
perfect.
matter.
Yeah, for me, well, I guess why don't we all defend our votes a little bit? I'm fine with it being a 4-way tie because, you know, I'm not Ryan and averse to ties, but I think that we should all have a minute to just defend our choice just as like a, I don't know, not to make anybody change their votes, but just to reminisce, I guess. How about that?
I like it.
I'll
Okay.
start with mine. So I voted for Teruno Fuji versus Ura. It was a match where Ura was really taking it to Teruno Fuji for quite a while. Teruno Fuji was keep trying to defend, get in a good position, but Ura would just kind of snake away a little bit and kind of put Teruno Fuji back on his heels. Eventually, obviously, Teruno Fuji was able to get a hold of Ura and step him out, but there's a lot of fun Uraness happening with that match. And I will also say, at the time, I didn't have access to video of Kirishima versus Koto no Waka in Haru.
Yeah?
And honestly, I might have, if I had that, I might have voted Kirishima versus Koto no Waka.
Thank you.
Ura throwing the entire kitchen sink at Teruno Fuji and just being unable to. I know that pain. Teruno Fuji is much larger and stronger than Ura, and Ura just every single trick in the entire bag, just boom, 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 boom. Nothing's working. He gets some things worked a little bit, but never enough. And it was it was fun watching the gears turn so quickly in his head from one weird random attempt to another. That, you know, if it was anybody else, I don't want to pretend that the size is the only thing. Teruno Fuji is, of course, fully aware of every one of those tricks and how to defend them. But yeah, it was very cool watching Ura try everything.
Yeah. A lot of Kata Sakashi attempts I remember seeing.
Yes.
Yep.
The thing that really stuck to me is the end, like after like Ura just tries everything and Teruno Fuji just like calmly steps him out the dojo.
Yeah,
That,
it was
that
like
does
I
kind
have,
of work against it a little bit. Is the ending is pretty much like, all right, Teruno Fuji's got him wrapped up pretty easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Once the bag of tricks is completely empty, then it's just like a pushing match. Oh well, Teruno Fuji wins that.
Yeah. He's just like, okay, you're done now. Let's that was fun.
Let's go.
I voted for who I voted for. I will say I might have some regrets. I might side with it. Sounds like I might be siding with Flerick on this one.
Sounds like you are. It's because I am the correct opinion right now. Kirishima versus Koto no Waka, Haru on day 15. The big reason I picked this one is because it was a very like back and forth kind of like upper Sanyaku, like Ozeki. Both two. I don't know if Koto no Waka was probably Ozeki.
He was Ozeki
Okay.
and Haru. He
That was
just
the
hadn't
one-
switched his name to Koto Sakura. He had that one as
that one
Ozeki.
Basho.
One in between.
Because he wanted that one where it's like his grandpa or his father.
Or his dad.
For his dad, yeah. Before he got his grandpa's Shikona.
Yep.
But yeah, it was very, very back and forth. And like to me, this reminds me of the old like Yokozuna, like Kakuryu versus Hakuho or Kakuryu versus some other big. It was just really back and forth. And there was definitely a couple places where they said like, oh, we tried everything against each other, but we were still at a stalemate. We're just going to kind of wait here for a second. And we're going to kind of figure out our next plan of what to do. And it was just kind of nice, kind of back and forth the entire time. And I think it ended with a pretty sick throw at the end as well. And the way it kind of just brought me back to some of the old school, like really good grapplers of when we first started watching sumo. That's why I kind of picked that one. It was great.
Yeah. I can go next. My vote is for Hiradoumi and Hoshoryu. The Gyoji falling over match. And even without the Gyoji falling over part of it makes it like more memorable, but I don't think it matters in my choice here, because this was hands down the most intense match that I remember from this year. Both guys just absolutely on fire, going at it hard. It didn't have quite as many like weird technical things as the other two ones that you guys have talked about so far, but like Hironomi is very quickly becoming one of my favorite guys, just because he has no second gear. You know, he's just already at top speed instantly. I joke about how he does the anime thing of like teleporting from one frame to the next frame when he does his Tachi-ai. And Hoshoryu, when you get Hoshoryu mad, or when you get him interested, you know, he can match that. And these guys just absolute balls to the wall, tripping, grip attempts, and everything. The Gyoji could not even keep up. And yeah, Hoshoryu took the win. But yeah, this was intensity was the reason that I picked this one.
Yeah. I just quickly watched that match, and there was a number of times where Hoshoryu was trying to do a Watanage on him, but Hironomi was like, nope, I'm just going to not be thrown. I'm just going to counter it. And I think how you said it got Hoshoryu interested, because like, oh, wait a second. I just throw people normally. What's going on here? I have to do something different.
I know that Hoshoryu is a perfectly decent guy out of the ring, but I feel like in the ring, he's a guy that like you have to make him bleed if you want his respect, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that Hironomi did that.
Yeah.
The match that I chose was Onokatsu versus Shishi. So it started off like, again, I'm a Shishi fanboy, but this also happened to be a really great match. It was a good Tachi-ai. It looked like Shishi was going to go out. There was some beautiful Tawara Bole. I do not know how Shishi was able to recover from that. His heels are in the air. He is on his tiptoes on the Tawara, and Onokatsu just can't finish him off. And then he pushes him back to the center of the ring. It's still an awesome match. And then the Gyoji stops it to adjust Shishi's Mawashi. So then he goes, okay, hold on. So they have to stand there as the Gyoji goes and fixes the Mawashi. Resume the match. It was a long, protracted match. Then they both try to throw each other. And then, unfortunately, it doesn't go Shishi's way, but it ends with a throw and a Watanage, when it was like, no, this is going to be a push out from either side, because Shishi tried to push out Onokatsu, but he just couldn't do it. It was a great belt battle, great match. And again, I'm a Shishi fanboy. Deal with it.
Yeah. The near falls always make it super dramatic, and that match was lousy with them.
Yeah. No, I mean, I wasn't too far away from voting Onokatsu versus Shishi either. I think this is a worthy category of being a four-way tie. I don't have any issue with that.
It always is, like, because the nominees for this one are always the winners of the match of the Basho for each of the six, and those winners are always good. So it's a hard call, and I'm in the same boat.
All right, so now it is time for us to crown our Dai Yokozuna for the year of 2024. At the beginning of 2024, we all made a series of predictions, and the winner gets the honor and privilege of introducing the show at the beginning of every episode. And so here is our predictions and how everything lined up. We guessed how many Yokozuna would there be at the end of the year. Flarik and Mac got it right with 1. And we all guessed who would be Yokozuna at the end of the year. Only Jake had Teru no Fuji being a Yokozuna at the end of the year. We all guessed how many Ozeki would there be at the end of the year. Jake and Flarik nailed that with 3 Ozeki. We all knew Hoshoryu was going to be Ozeki at the end of the year, and all of us, except for Flarik, knew that Koto no Waka would be Ozeki by the end of the year. The rest of us had some flavor of Takakeisho, Kirishima, somehow Daisho, and Natami Fuji. Who the 6 Yusho winners of the year would be. This is one where I got 4 right. Everybody else got 1 correct. Everybody got 1 Teru no Fuji Yusho. Yeah. Everybody got 1 Teru no Fuji Yusho, and then I got an additional Teru no Fuji plus a Koto no Waka plus an Ono Sato.
Jeez.
Wow. Yeah. Everybody else had 2 Kirishima.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Any other really dumb ones in there?
Atami Fuji, Gonoyama. And 2 Kirishima. Dumb. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a weird one, and this year the weird one was Takeru Fuji, and
Ono Sato.
And Ono Sato.
I don't know. I feel like that one was at least less weird. You know, it was slightly more predictable that by the end of the year he could be an Ozeki in that running, but like
in so much as I
still.
did predict it. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we got 3 wild cards this year when we normally have like 1 or 0.
Yeah. Continuing a tradition going back 4 or 5 years at this point, none of us guessed who would have the most wins in 2024. We had guesses for Kirishima, Daisho, and Onosato. Mac almost had it with Onosato, but Kotozakura pulled it out, winning his last match, getting 66 wins compared to Onosato's 65. One of us nailed exactly the number of wins that would the Rikishi with the most wins would have, and that was me with 66. But I went back and listened to the episode. We made it a rule. If you were within 5, you got a point for it. So Jake and Fleric also within 5.
Let's go.
We need to make it a new rule next year that the person who gets it exactly gets 2 points.
You know what? I can get behind that.
Yeah. Who will make their Sanyaku debut in 2024? None of us got that right. 3 of us thought of Tommy Fuji. He was on the doorstep.
Oh, God, that's right.
Wow. And there was another one for Gonoyama. How many Rikishi will make their top divisions debuts this year? None of us got that right. We all undershot it, as there was a total of 9 that made their top division debut this year. We all predicted a Rikishi that would make their top division debut. Me and Fleric with Takeru Fuji, Jake with Oshoma, and Mac with Shishi. And then our last category, how many Rikishi will retire this year? Mac got the number right, but only Jake got the prediction of the one Rikishi they thought would retire. Jake got Aoyama. We had a couple of Tamawashi, and I was a Takara Fuji vote. And then
I don't think any of those are bad guesses.
No, they're not.
So after the results of just the predictions, the score stands at Jake and Ryan with 8, and Fleric and Mac with 6. But we also give a win or a point for each prediction series win. So that brings my score up to 9, Jake's score up to 9, Fleric's score up to 9, as Fleric had 3 prediction series wins this year, and Mac's score up to 7. So Mac, unfortunately, out of the running for Dai Yokozuna of 2024.
But I got more than last year.
You did.
Which is an improvement for me. I'm improving.
Everybody scored higher than they did last year.
Hooray!
I'm just slow.
We also
slow
had
increments.
more categories this year.
Also, yes.
So how do we break this tie? I went back and listened to our prediction episode and our kind of after Nagoya. We did an update on it to see if there's any way that I could finagle myself a win here.
No, it's got to be Fleric.
I couldn't
obviously Fleric.
Fleric is our Dai Yokozuna. The first tiebreaker goes to the winner of who has the most prediction series. So Fleric with 3 prediction series wins is the Dai Yokozuna for 2024 and will be the voice introducing Grand Sumo Breakdown throughout 2025.
Hit us with a warm up here.
This sparks so much joy. Thanks for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Throw your salt high.
No, Fleric, not yet.
And join my cult of Wakata Kage.
Yes.
He has too much power.
Yes.
Let it burn.
So
does this mean I can end the episode whenever?
No, that's not how it works, Fleric.
No.
I still drive the bus. I just let you
I
grab
still
the
have
wheel
the stop
every once in a
recording
while.
button.
Yeah. And then it comes down to Jake or I for who gets to say our name second in the rundown of things. And I didn't really have a good tiebreaker for the two of us.
I do.
Well, Mac, I really don't think it's needed. I shouldn't have listened to the Nagoya episode because we had talked about when we got to the how many Rikishi will retire this year section. Back in our initial predictions, Jake had joked something about Hokuseiho. And because we were talking about old people, and he said something about Hokuseiho, and then we came back in the Nagoya episode, and we were like, "Oh yeah, hey Jake, you mentioned Hokuseiho," and you're like, "Yeah, I should get a bonus point for that or something." I'm like, "No, you'll get 1/100th of a point."
Oh,
and so
the 100th of a point
by
win.
1/100th of a point, Jake ekes me out and will be second, and I am booted down to
what's
third
even
in
better
the
than
list.
that?
What?
Flarrick's wins only count for tiebreakers.
How do you mean?
Flarrick's three U-shows only count for tiebreakers, not for actual points.
Are you trying to argue that you're actually first place because
Sure am.
you got 100th of a
No.
point?
Wow.
Yeah, Flarrick's points only count for tiebreakers.
We've always included the prediction series wins.
Then we're all tied at 9, and Flarrick wins the tiebreaker for anyone tied at 9. But I'm at 9.01.
But we do tiebreakers by adding not 200th of a point.
Shit.
That's how we do tiebreakers, though. We're gonna retcon
There's
that,
a debate to be had.
There is a debate to be had. I don't think this is settled yet.
I had gathered. I actually put some time into this one because you said who wins the tiebreaker underneath my name. So I created a nerd quiz and was like, "All right,
I don't think it's needed, Mac."
I know. I did all this effort. I'm like, "Damn it!" So the ruined.
I think here's the thing that is unambiguous. Me and Flarrick are 1 and 2, so I think Flarrick and I can decide this. I don't think we have to decide it right now. I'd love to come to some arrangement. Where the two of us, as long as we're putting down Ryan and Mac, I'm okay with almost any arrangement here. But
I will throw in my lot. I think the most fair is Flarrick, as that 100th of a point thing was complete throwaway joke, and I was throwing you a bone with that.
Okay, that's an easy thing to say in hindsight, isn't it?
Yeah.
No,
I'm liking the logic you're saying, Ryan. This is very smart logic. I think we should go with this. Yeah, we can figure this out, Jake.
I guess
we can
TBD.
TBD.
Find out in the Hatsu preview.
Yeah.
Whichever voice you hear first wins the argument.
Wins the argument.
Or has won the argument.
They're continually talking over each other.
Oh. Yeah, we should just try and synchronize it despite the remote delay through Zoom.
No, you can record it and then just play it.
Oh man. Okay, no. Anyways, we can move on, but I'd love to, like I said, as long as the two of us are lording it over the other two, almost any arrangement is fine with me.
That is ultimately the important thing.
Yes, exactly.
Ryan is
You have
third
no
place.
idea how devastated I am.
Yeah.
I know. And the fact that you are the only reason anybody even knows about it anymore because we all forgot.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, the pain.
I make rules. I'm gonna stick by the ones that we made and the agreements that we made. I could have done some. I could have just said, you know what, the person with the that still would end up with the Jake win because he had 8.
Wait, no, that still doesn't work.
No,
How about we move on to moment of the year? And this is
the moment of the year here.
I was just going to make the same joke. Yep.
Well, Jake did say that the person who nailed the number of wins for the Rikishi with most wins should get 2 points. So if we retroactively make that a rule for last year, then I have 10 points.
We're not retconning.
And then we don't have to change anything.
Yeah, because then Flarrick would then be third because I beat him in the tiebreaker.
That TBD.
I don't like this at all.
I'll go back and listen to
Let's find an argument to make Flarrick fourth. The moment of the year is the Golden Spotlight, and we have, I guess I'll allow this name to stand. Our moment,
obviously in reference to the 2015 Academy Award winning movie Spotlight.
I think we're talking about a literal spotlight. That would make more sense.
I know, I was making a joke.
The moment of the year.
No idea if it was 2015. I'm going to look that up, and if it was, I'm going to be so happy.
I think it was. No, I think you're right. I guess we'll all just sit here till Ryan figures it out.
No, go ahead. I'll interrupt when it makes sense.
I bet you will. So our nominees for the moment of the year in Hatsu, Day 15, Terunofuji tosses Kirishima out of the dohyo like a child to win the
Goodbye.
Yusho. Haru, Day 15, Takeru Fuji fights despite his severe ankle injury to secure the Yusho and the greatest ever Makuuchi debut. Natsu, Day 15, Ono Sato defeats Abi to win his first Yusho, breaking the record set 2 months prior for the quickest Yusho ever from someone's debut in sumo. On Aki, Day 3, Tamawashi sets the record for most consecutive matches competed in. And Kyushu, Day 15, Hoshoryu versus Kotozakura, 13-1 versus 13-1 to decide the Yusho in the very last match of the Basho.
Wow. Tough category.
It looked like it, but the votes were pretty overwhelming. So
Okay.
we do have a runner-up of Terunofuji tossing Kirishima like a child. But the overwhelming winner was Takeru Fuji winning his Yusho on one ankle.
Yeah,
So-
Spotlight 2015.
Yep, I know. I also looked it up much quicker and was able to move on mentally.
Once again,
but some
I
of us
looked it
haven't.
up very quickly and then sat on the information, Jake.
I
It
veto
didn't
Ryan's
take me
vote
that
for this
entire
one, no
stretch
matter
of
what it was.
time to
Veto.
type in Spotlight in Google.
I veto Ryan's vote.
Veto
I'm
Ryan's
being
vote.
petty.
All right, so Takeru Fuji
Can I
gets
veto
50% of
Jake's-
the point now.
Can I veto Jake's 100th of a point?
Ooh.
That's not on this episode, though. That was on a previous episode.
I mean, we talked about it on this episode.
It's a category.
I love
It's
how
a category.
Ryan
it was
was
in the bonus segment category on the outline.
And we're talking about a bonus point.
And if I can veto
Oh,
the name for an award,
Nobody
I
agreed
don't
that you
know.
could do that. You agreed that you could do that.
And apparently that's all I needed.
Oh, man.
apparently,
And I agree that Flair can do this.
I am doing a veto.
Despite loving the pettiness that Ryan was still working on that movie and Fleric was still working on the thing even before that, I would like us to talk about the moment of the year a little bit.
That sounds good. But I'm putting that in the outline that your bonus point is being
I
vetoed.
second.
You can't second
You
a
can't
veto. That
second a
doesn't mean
veto.
anything.
Too late.
You also already used your. Yeah. Too late. He said it. You're right. Oh, okay. I forgot that when Ryan says things. that are
moment.
Takeru Fuji, speaking of saying things that are official, I'm completely changing the topic. So, Takeru Fuji winning on that busted ankle. We did talk about it a little bit earlier, but yeah, this was nuts. The I believe, if I remember right, the drama came down to either he had to win or somebody else had to lose. Who else was in the running for that one?
Onosato, Hoshoryu,
Onosato.
Takayasu all got 11. I think it was just Onosato had 11 going into that day, and if he won and Takeru Fuji lost, there would be a playoff at 12 wins.
Gotcha. So yeah, regardless though, there was a way out of it if he didn't win that match. But
And ultimately,
winning,
he didn't need to. 'Cause
right.
Onosato
Ultimately, he
would
didn't
lose.
need to, but him winning that match, it was so much more satisfying for him to win the Yusho outright by winning a sumo match. As opposed to, other people losing for him to like clinch it despite sitting on the sidelines. That would have been like cool, and it would have set all the same records, but it was just that much more cool that he got to do it in the ring.
Yeah. From the reporting, it sounded like Issei Kahama Oyakata was ready to be like, no, you're not fighting. And then Takeru Fuji hopped up on however many painkillers they could throw into him, told him like, no, I'm doing this. Like, if I don't do this, I'll like regret it forever. And so
Good on him.
I mean,
Yeah.
Oyakata probably should have still overridden it, seeing as Takeru Fuji was out for the entirety of the next
yeah,
Basho and most of the
but-
Basho after that. But it did lead to the moment of the year. So, what's
So
really
what's
working
really
in the
worth
end?
it?
So
Yeah,
really.
exactly. Oh man, no, crazy moment there, and yeah, I'm glad that at least two of you agreed with me.
Yeah. Who voted for Teruno Fuji? I did love that moment too. The Teruno Fuji one.
I voted for Teruno
Okay,
Fuji.
that's fair.
I mean,
that's fair.
It was Yokozuna dominance, throwing Kirishima. I mean, anytime you can see big boy sumo like that, I love
Yeah.
it.
Kind of set the plate for the remainder of Kirishima's year, honestly.
Yeah.
All right. What is next?
All right. Next we have is the storyline of the year, aka the Golden Headline, which is based off the popular movie Headline of a 90s sitcom that definitely exists. I'm not just making it up right now. So very topical awards is what we're doing right
Yeah,
now.
super topical.
There was a movie
right.
called Headline that came out in 2014. The story of
Nice.
youth, which is based misuse
Can I mute
of social
Ryan?
media.
I can't remember if I have
You
that
own the
power as
Zoom
like
call, don't you?
organizer here. Oh yeah, sweet, got it. All right, Flair, go ahead.
Oh, this is beautiful. I love it. Yeah. So we have our nominees. First nominee is Takeru Fuji's shocking debut when he came and we won the entire thing, and then instantly was injured for the next couple of Bashos, only to return in Kyushu and just kind of do all right. Our next nominee we have is Onosato's quick ascent to Ozeki, of where he just kind of showed up with like a wrecking ball and just kind of kept on doing very, very well and got an Ozeki promotion super quick, along with the fastest Yusho from his debut as well. Next we have is Hokuseiho scandal and the dissolution of the Miyagino Bea. It was definitely something that happened, and as we know, bullying is definitely a very serious thing and something Sumo struggled with. So it's definitely something to kind of keep in mind, and definitely was something that was happened during the Basho.
Definitely
Yeah,
defined this year to some extent.
Yeah, definitely the beginning part of this year, just to add a little bit more context, because it's been a while since this has all happened. Like the Hokuseiho, I think, pulled out of the Hatsu Basho, and then like between Bashos, it was announced he's going to get surgery. He's going to miss the entirety of the Basho, and then some people were like, "Hey, this might actually be like a shadow suspension," and then like it all came out, and Hokuseiho basically had to put in his retirement, and Miyagino Oyakata was obviously punished, and they had to figure out like, okay, what are we going to do? He was demoted to the lowest rank in the JSA he could hold, and basically the stable was put in limbo. I think that for the first Basho is like, all right, Hokuseiho, or not Hokuseiho, Hakuho, Miyagino, you're not in charge of your Heia now. We're going to bring in an outsider and put them in charge of your Heia. They did that for one Basho, and then the next Basho is like, yeah, we're not going to do this. You're going to be absorbed into the Isegahama Bea for an indeterminate amount of time.
Yeah, it wasn't intended to be permanent at that point, and my understanding is it's still considered a temporary arrangement.
Yeah.
We haven't had any announcements on it that I've been aware of for, what, like 6 months plus?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Regardless,
Also,
it's making an absolute super stable that is producing some of these incredible wrestlers because they're all training together daily.
Yeah. Headline was also a 1943 film about a crime reporter beginning to investigate the disappearance of his boss's wife who had witnessed a murder.
Murder.
Sounds very funny. But yeah, I don't know where that one's going to go, but
I love it.
But yeah, like we were saying, that storyline definitely helped define the beginning part of this year in particular.
Yeah, we did say at one point we had a relatively light number of scandals this year, but we definitely had kind of a big one, and it was definitely very, very important, and something we to keep in mind that happened during the year. And for our last nomination, we have is Taka Keisho's continued health problems leading to his early retirement, as it says right here. But I think he was like, no, I guess he was like 29, right?
He was 28.
28. That is definitely early for him. So. Yep. Yeah, that was definitely a storyline, is like his bad neck and whether or not it was going to lead to something. And this was the year it finally could not do anymore, and he retired in the Aki at the end of Aki. All right, and let's go ahead and take a look at the results. It looks like we have a runner-up this time, and the runner-up is being Takeru Fuji's stunning Yusho in the top division debut, which leads us with our storyline of the year being Onosato's quick ascent to Ozeki.
Yeah. I think if Takeru Fuji didn't get hurt in that day 14 match, he could have had a similar storyline that Onosato did this year. But unfortunately for Takeru Fuji, it was I think this played out right. Takeru Fuji had the moment of the year, that one moment where he won. That was the moment of the year. But throughout the entirety of the year, this was Onosato's year. Like his debut, his breaking of the records of most special prizes to start a career, fastest rise to Ozeki ever, fastest Yusho from pro debut ever. Like it was just Basho after Basho. Onosato was breaking some sort of record.
Yeah, and in that we mentioned earlier that Onosato did beat Takeru Fuji in this most recent tournament. But Takeru Fuji beat him in Haru, so they are 1-1. These two guys, like you said, if there wasn't that injury, the top two storylines of the year would have been Takeru Fuji's quick ascent to Ozeki and Onosato's quick ascent to Ozeki, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that injury set the rivalry back by a Basho or two. But I think that Takeru Fuji is obviously on his way up, so I think that rivalry will continue. But this year, absolutely. If you're looking at the year as a whole, Onosato kind of like timed it suspiciously perfectly for January through November to be his ascent.
Yeah.
There's no other way to refer to 2024 than as the year Onosato started and also got to the second highest rank.
The year Onosato began.
2024. The Onosato year, right?
Yeah.
The era.
Yeah, I think as soon as I saw the moment and storyline, for a second I always in my head I'm gonna think of this year as the Take Refuji storyline, but it definitely was like kind of one and done Basho for the most part, and the rest of it, like you said, was just kind of unfortunately just not yet up to the high highs that he had at the start.
Yeah.
And so yeah, definitely the storyline throughout the year was Ono Sato with him doing some stuff, and that was the easy vote for me.
We good?
Let's
Any
move
other
on to
things?
our
Good.
final
All right.
category.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next up, we have the Rikishi of the Year, or the Golden Silver Emperor's Cup. A little bit of this, not like golden silver.
Well, the cup is
Yeah.
silver, so like, yeah, but but all of our awards are golden things, so it's the golden
Right, so
silver.
We don't
golden,
cheat
a
out for our
golden
awards.
silver.
Oh yeah. Accuracy is more important than it being, than it flowing properly.
Yeah, fair enough. But our nominees are Teruno Fuji, Hatsu, and Nagoya Yushos, and then was Kyujo for some / all of the other Bashos. So sorry there. Next up, Takeru Fuji won the Haru Yusho, 3 special prizes and 2 Juryo Yusho. The first Makuuchi debutant to win a Yusho in 110 years, but was absent from the top division due to injury for 4 of the other 6 Basho. Next up, we have Naozeki Onosato. I'm not being able to talk right now. Sorry, guys. Won the
Tisk.
Natsu and Aki Yusho, won a Jun Yusho and Haru, and has 8 special prizes. Again, as I said, promoted to Ozeki after 5 Makuuchi Basho, and has a win per Basho ratio of 10.83. That's pretty good. And then our final nominee is Koto Zakura, the winner of the Kyushu Yusho. Hatsu and Natsu Jun Yusho with 1 special prize, was promoted to Ozeki this year, and has a win per Basho rating of 11. So a little bit over Onosato.
Just one more match.
One more
One
match.
match. As I pull up the results here, it was unanimous. Onosato.
Yeah, I don't. As we discussed in the storyline of the year, there's just no way around this being the year of Onosato. There's a big part of me that really wanted to hey, Koto Sakura, but you just can't.
I think in past years. Sorry, go ahead. Fire.
I think the big thing is he got more wins this year, which is definitely something very impressive.
Yep.
And I think he was let me quickly check to see where he was at in the beginning of the year.
Sekiwaka.
Yeah, he was all Sekiwaka. Yeah, so he was tough, facing arguably objectively tougher competition throughout the entire year, which is very
on
impressive.
average. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Yushos are worth something.
Yep.
Getting the right wins in the right places at the right times is definitely something, and that's kind of the thing that tipped it over for me. Is he had very similar promotion, a lot of awards to do it, but he just got the more Yushos, more consistent.
If more Yushos is the thing, though, I think Takeru Fuji is the only guy that had 3 Yushos. None of the other guys won anything in Juryo, so I don't know, man.
It's a good point. Takeru Fuji is the only person on this list with multiple division Yushos. He's shown his flexibility and range.
No, I think that there's a lot of retreading stuff from our moment of the year discussion, but Koto Zakura being just, I don't know, man. He's so good, but he's just kind of not as flashy as everybody else that is in the discussions like these. So I think that hurts him a little bit in the short term, but he's absolutely still, he's the only guy that, pretty much the only guy that could be Yokozuna immediately here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's certainly doing just fine there. But yeah, we already knew he was good, and Onosato just kind of came out of not complete obscurity, but definitely way, way exceeded expectations and was consistent with that the entire year.
Yep. All right.
I think it's good that we highlighted Koto Zakura because he did have a fantastic year.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like Koto Zakura and Hoshoryu both maybe get a little short shrift in this episode. They were both consistently good, but they never hit quite the peaks as some of these other things. They weren't as disappointing as Kirishima. They didn't have the moments that Takeru Fuji and Onosato had. So they were there. They were consistent. They were good. Neither of them had a single Makekoshi this entire year. But being consistent and good doesn't win you awards. We're talking about the best of the best here today.
Yeah.
And maybe next year, if Koto Zakura wins the U show in January, we have our moment of the year where Koto Zakura beats Terunofuji on day 15 to become the new Yokozuna.
That would be crazy. Or get Hoshoryu in the mix and have those two get a double promotion in some way.
There you go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
my goodness.
Like Hoshoryu, I just added it up. He had 61 wins this year. So he was
averaging
perfectly
over 10
fine.
Basho as well.
Yeah. Excellent year from him. Just not quite as good as some of these other guys. And
Or shocking and surprising.
Yeah, which I mean, when it comes down to it, like, we're people, so we like to follow storylines, and having more surprises or drama like that certainly doesn't hurt your case when we want to decide who had the best year of everybody. So
Right. Yeah.
that factors in.
So at the end of our 2023 award show, we had each stated some things that we wanted in the world of sumo in 2024. So I want us to go back, check, hey, did we get what we wanted out of sumo in 2024? And then look ahead to 2025. What do we want to get out of 2025? So Jake, why don't you start?
I wanted the U.S. to get more medals at the Amateur Sumo World Championships. And we did. We got almost an exact repeat of 2023 when Kellyanne got heavyweight bronze and our team won bronze. This year, our women's team. This year, our women's team won bronze again, and Kellyanne upgraded to women's heavyweight silver instead of bronze. So
nice.
Technically, that's not more medals, but it's better, I guess.
It averages
so
out
it counts.
better. Yeah, it counts.
Check mark on that one.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the next tier of sumo solidified. Yep, sure did that. Koto Zakura, Hoshoryu, Onosato, absolutely like the top three guys that are not Yokozuna right now, and will, at least throughout this year, they absolutely solidified themselves as these are the guys to beat for sure. And I wanted to shorten the podcast exit. I guess I'm talking about how up until this year we have consistently like kind of floundered on how we end our shows, and I think we've done a pretty good job.
I think we've done good.
Absolutely, yeah. And
also,
with
Fleric, I don't know if it's Fleric. We still got to decide if it's Fleric.
Oh God!
But I don't know that the Dai Yokozuna extends to the end of the show. I think we just talked about the top of the show.
I think it extends to the end.
I think it should extend to the bottom.
Yeah.
Take away all my lines. All right.
you should let debatably the two Dai Yokozuna discuss this and
There you go.
determine
I
policy
had
for the
the
next year.
same amount of points as you two. You just get technicalities on your side.
Yep.
And they are
And?
correct.
You should win more. That's what it
Yeah.
comes down to.
Scrub.
Yeah. Get good.
I don't like how we've nerfed like the actual predictions to be just like, oh yeah, whoever gets the most champ chump wins is going to win this.
Ryan, I'm
Now
pretty
that it
sure
doesn't play in favor of me, I loved it last year. But
exactly.
That's exactly what happened to
That's
me.
the
I
entirety
won
of his
3
reasoning.
last year, came from behind,
yeah.
and won. So I'm
Yeah.
being a hypocrite, Fleric.
Okay.
This is why
Unashamedly.
we've established this. Ryan is a terrible winner and he's a terrible loser. We've established this. It is
There's a reason I got no votes for the below Sekitori.
wow.
Oh God.
Definitely
That's
consistent.
moment of the year.
There you
Is
go.
3 of us getting votes for lower division wrestler of the year. Okay. Anyways, Mac is next on the list for did you get what you wanted in 2024?
Yes. Well, mine was kind of split. So my first thing that I wanted in 2024 was my lost luggage returned to me. So last year at the end, we went to go see my brother-in-law that was stationed over in Germany, and the airline forgot to load my bags in Chicago. And it was a nightmare for about a month because there was no movement. My bag ended up traveling a hell of a lot more than I did, but it somehow wound up in Germany, then to Ireland, then back to Germany, then to England, and then wound up in Bangor, Maine. So after that, it got routed back to Des Moines, and then I had to drive and go pick it up because nobody was taking responsibility to deliver it, and I have been avoiding those airlines like the plague.
I gotta say,
eventually I got it back.
ending up in Bangor, Maine is just classic comedy. Like it's always a better story if it's a comedically good name of a town. Like
Bangor,
Temecula
Maine.
or Tucumcari, New Mexico. You know, those are like fun names. Like, and Bangor, Maine. That's excellent comedy.
Well, and what was great about it was they actually called me and they said, "Hey, we have your bag here, but we see you're in Iowa. why is the bag here?
Why is the bag in Timbuktu or
Literally.
Bangkok?
Question,
or...
airline company.
I was like, well, let me recount.
Funny
Like,
thing is,
oh
I
my
would like to
God.
ask you that question.
Yeah, what
Exactly.
airline was it, Mac? I need to know
you-
who to avoid.
It was United.
Yep,
Okay.
name
And
and
I
shame.
give
Name and
all the
shame.
love to the United terminal in Bangor, Maine, because they were fantastic to work with and get it routed to Des Moines. Cannot say thank you enough for being able to actually help get my bag back. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
United and then Lufthansa. I was like, oh man.
I would be remiss to not shout out Bangor, Maine being a great place because that's where my brother and his wife got married there. So, and
Oh, nice.
she's from the area of kind of, I don't know if it's exactly Bangor, but pretty dang close. And she has just nothing but love for that place. And apparently,
can see
United
why.
Terminal is pretty solid there too. So, let's go Bangor, Maine. Nothing but, although I did get kicked out of a bar at Bangor, Maine. So,
Oh, you
All right.
got kicked out of a bar?
yeah, I was underage. They asked for my ID.
Oh.
So-
Oh, I was gonna say that's
Wait a minute.
that's got to be a pretty trigger happy bar if they're kicking a happy drunk like you out of it.
yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, GSB has mixed feelings on Bangor, but mostly positive.
That's
What were we
I
talking about?
definitely like them.
Mac, what did he get? What he wanted in 2024? We've hit one.
Yes,
See
and
if
then
we hit the other.
the other was getting a new Yokozuna, not obvi if possible. So didn't get that one, but it wasn't obvi.
not
So
obvi.
I'm gonna
yeah.
say 50-50
Obvi ain't
on
close.
that one.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
75% hit rate for Mac then.
Yes, yes.
All right. It looks like the things I wanted for this year was parity at the top to continue and let the chaos reign. Depending what the definition of the parity at the top was, I think I might have actually lost this a little bit because I think we're starting to solidify in the Ozeki and kind of a little top of the top.
I mean, we had a Maegashira Yusho. I think we had one Yusho at every level. We had a Maegashira, Komosubi and Onosato's first one, Sekiwake and Onosato's second one, Kotozakura with the Ozeki Yusho, and 2 Yokozuna with Teru no Fuji. So
Huh.
you get one Yusho at every rank. That
I
seems
guess.
like a bit of parity.
Yeah, but 4 of those were by 2 guys. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of definitely not 2023 where it's kind of everyone was beating everyone. So I think we're solidifying a little bit since then, I guess what I'll say.
Yeah.
But I do love that we have multiple top guys you can just kind of win as well. So it's maybe not as wide of like maybe 5 or 6 guys. It's maybe like 4 guys, maybe 5 or 4, give or take.
Yeah.
But either way, I'm happy. This is actually this is a fantastic place for Sumo to be in. I'm super excited to see it go forward. And for my other one I had was a Daisho Ozeki run. I was apparently super hot on Daisho coming into this
you
year. And yeah, that didn't go too well. I think this last Basho he kind of did okay, maybe.
Like
8 and 7
maybe?
from Sekiwaki. I'll freaking take it. Let's go. Yeah, he's gonna be coming to Ozeki any moment now. Just you wait.
He's riding a string of 3 consecutive 8 and 7s. Eventually, that's going to turn into an Ozeki rank, right?
Hey, they love
Yes.
consistency.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For me, I also wanted a new Yokozuna, so still waiting on that. Hopefully, don't have to wait too much longer. And I wanted the hype to be real for Haku Oho and Ono Sato. And I think Ono Sato did enough to cover for both of them. So I'm going to say I got what I wanted there. And then, so what do we want to see in 2025? I'll start with this one. I want no parody. I want it to be only Yokozuna or Ozeki Yusho throughout the entirety of the year. I want to see these guys really dominate the sumo world, how sumo's kind of like meant to be. Historically, it's always meant to be 2 to 3 to 4 guys at the top just winning over and over again. And I want to live in that world for at least a little bit. We've gotten 0 of that since we've started watching sumo. So I want to live in that world just a little bit. So my hope for 2025, only Yokozuna or Ozeki Yusho.
Nice.
He wants the world where only Ono Sato just becomes Yokozuna and he just wins every single Yusho for like a decade.
No,
That's the world.
I do like Kotozakura more than Ono Sato, so I would love Kotozakura Yokozuna after next Basho.
He is definitely in the better place to do it, and he had more wins than last year. That's very
did.
true. All right. I guess I will go next. I was also going to mention, I guess I'm going to say like new Yokozuna would be fun. Because I think we have people on the cusp. Hopefully they get wins in the correct places for it to actually happen. I think that'd be pretty nice. I'm also going to throw out Kirishima to return to the Ozeki ranks. I would actually love to see that because he's still very, very talented. There's something going on with him. Hopefully he gets that figured out and he can kind of return to the top and start kind of messing some stuff up. And lastly, I want Uro to do something cool. That's kind of a gimme. So
Yeah,
I
sure.
still want it.
I'm going to piggyback off of myself and you guys with a couple easy ones. At least one new Yokozuna.
Yep.
I think that's kind of not a gimme that it will happen, but a gimme that's like an easy answer to what do I want to see, right?
Next year feels like the year it's going to happen. Like,
Sure.
Yeah,
it
Hope
really
so, yeah.
does.
we're on the cusp. We're on the cusp.
I'm going to copy my one from last year, and let's keep this train going. Let's see at least some improvement in our United States amateur sumo performance at Worlds.
Kellyanne Ball getting a gold.
Do it.
That's
do it, do it.
either baby
All right,
steps
man.
there or somebody new coming onto the scene. We got guys like Edibo, who's absolutely a threat
beast.
for
A
an
beast.
individual men's medal. Yeah, that all sorts of stuff. Every year brings new prospects and new cool stuff. So, yeah, 2025. Let's improve that medal count or medal quality, whatever. And I guess if I got to pick something that is a little bit more interesting, I want at least one new person to be nominated for Rikishi of the Year next year compared to this list.
Ooh.
Okay.
This list has Teruno Fuji, Takeru Fuji, Koto Zakura, Ono Sato. At least one of those names, or I want at least one new name on that list next year. Obviously, these are the four names that we're watching probably more than others. Toss in like Hoshoryu, I guess. But other than that, I want a new name. I want like Atami Fuji or something. Somebody, or Hiradoumi, one of these other young guys to turn a corner, or one of like the mid-age veterans, like, I don't know, Takanosho, somebody to blow up in 2025 that we aren't expecting, I think would be awesome.
And then I'll wrap it up with, I'm going to go bold. I'm going to say 2 new Yokozuna.
Ooh.
I think this is primed. I think there are definitely some really strong candidates moving into this next year. So I'm going to hold the bar a little high and say, I want 2 Yokozuna
I like
this next year. And then I'm going to go back down low to the bottom. Shishi, my boy. I want you to come back and be a Makuuchi mainstay. So hear me. Take my good energy, good vibes. Take it all so that I become the heel that I'm trying to be next year with finding somebody to hate. So take all my positivity. And then I would also like to see Atami Fuji. I want to see him figure it out because he's proven that he can at least hang there. But I want to see him figure it out and get to that Ozeki rank.
Yep. Get off that plateau he's kind of stuck on.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it.
All right, so that is going to wrap up the Grand Sumo Breakdown 2024 award show. It's been a hell of a year in 2024. I think 2025 has potential to be even better, at least in terms of seeing some Rikishi reach some new heights. This isn't the end of Grand Sumo Breakdown for 2024. We're still planning on doing our news update for December. We'll have a couple of Bonsuke episodes out there, and I don't know, maybe we'll get the Jake Flerick debate as a short mini episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Maybe we tack that onto our 2025 predictions or something because we
there
do
you
need
go.
to do our
And we do need to
2025
do-
predictions before the
Yep.
January tournament.
Yep. So then it must be done. Yeah. Have it decided by then.
Maybe
Doesn't
we'll kick
need-
the can down to January. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll probably be like a first week of January thing before the Basho starts.
Yeah.
All right. But with that being said, that is all that's going to wrap up this episode. So thank you, everybody, for watching this episode and watching throughout the year of 2024. Until next time, throw your salt high. Oh, God, this is one of the last times I'm going to.
Oh, no.
Throw your salt high and get it on those icy roads.
No, this is not your turn yet. Throw your salt high. Keep moving forward.
Did you have something, Flerick, or what? You put your finger up. I was almost going to click the button.
I said the thing.
Oh,
thing.
oh,
it's all
you're
right.
right. That
I'll
makes
say
it
it.
official. You're right.